do you want to finish off with what the thrall actually do, Helma?
Go ahead. Anybody, any idea what are they going to do?
Who was going to do the thrall?
Yeah.
The throne, what are they? I don't
Oh
know.
man.
Yeah, they're tough. I have probably the least written down in my notes about the thrall interactions.
Well,
Besides
if
their
the point though
how
is
they
that this
perceive
has
things
reached
through
them.
light.
Helma's role basically says that the message has reached them. And as far as the bad, go ahead.
How?
Mhm.
What is it they are going to give up?
Well, again, these are all like militaristic, galaxy spanning,
Yeah.
empires diluted with the concepts of progress and victory and everything. And so, effectively,
Yeah.
they're going to uh, they're going to stop the thrall hegemony of every single group underneath their influence. In other words, their way has always been my way or the highway, right? We have our way of making the decisions. We control your planet. Okay, we're setting policy. We're done. And then, having crushed opposition, they have added you to the Commonwealth now. So aren't you grateful? That's kind of been the thrall thing all the way along. And so um, the so basically, yeah, they're going to stop. They're basically, in a way, I guess you could say, and maybe this is a can of worms to open, but they're kind of doing a Gorbachev.
Well,
It's basically saying it's now your choice to stay with us in what we do, and no blood, no foul if you don't.
well, I kind of think everyone here should, maybe their bad thing that everyone should discard is their imperial ambitions. You know, maybe, dare I say it, we form some type of collective federation of, you know, free aligned worlds, and that, as long as we are working for the betterment of the collective whole, the collective hive, then, um, you know, to each their own. So, we'll, do
The
what thou wilt.
the well
Unless,
the fascinating combination of anarchy plus cooperation will be a matter of immense debate for the untold ages.
right?
so so I can see that the dialogue, but it's a new dialogue, I guess is what we're saying.
Yes.
It's a new dialogue. So okay, yeah, that's where the throw will go with this. The Luca find this acceptable. If this is what everybody's going to do, then then this is a place where then this is the Luca's new way of life, which they're sticking to. Will prosper, will benefit.
Good.
So goodness gracious, I wasn't expecting to come to the end of this in one session, but we kind of did. Unless let me think about it. I mean, maybe there's more to play from here on, or more. Maybe there's more that you guys want or consider about where to go from here. If anywhere, I'm willing to keep going. Although this does sort of conclude the conference.
But there's still something to explore.
That's true.
Well, the cool part is that we've managed to do it without, funny enough, without the traits I had pumped tons of points in,
Right.
were never used. No, it's kind of cool though. It's like I've got this +3 sword, but I never used this +3 sword.
I've got this little beak, and it's constantly talking.
That's right.
Exactly.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But to me, there's more to it. Yeah, there's the exploration part. There's, even rogue elements inside these galaxy spanning
Yeah, I mean,
You know,
there's a lot to consider there. Let me think about it. I could be convinced to keep going for a little while if I can come up with,
yeah,
my sort of what next button isn't ready to be pushed yet. Um,
Yeah.
what do you?
Now, if this was an episode of a TV series, or this was you know, the first part,
Right.
this is where you would end it. But as you end it, the camera would kind of
This is
pan
little.
out into
Yeah.
the depths of that thing, and there'd be something down there that
Right.
would probably throw this
Ooh.
big, like, hippie love fest into, like, just disarray. There's something
Oh
down
man,
there.
I don't want to be
You just gotta.
responsible for throwing the hippie love fest into disarray. That was, I'll feel bad.
There's always going to be some dissent on the outside of
Yeah,
all
well,
human
figure. Yeah, that's
passions.
what I got. Let me cogitate up.
Get this
Let me
verse
have
out
one.
again.
Let me have one night of sleep of some sense of some sense of a better world out there. Um, but cool. Anyway, thanks guys. That was
No, thank
Thank
you.
you.
wait, Jerry,
No,
where'd you go?
he's like, forget it. I'm done.
Yeah, okay,
It's
yeah.
over.
Fuck you too, Ron.
Going for the
Yeah.
drinks.
That's right.
I thought that was a very interesting game, and yeah, it's funny. Like on games like this, I just make a character off the cuff, and I
Mhm.
don't know exactly where. I just have a kind of an idea, but it is fun to evolve these characters and these ideas, and then it takes you to these unexpected places. That's very, very
The
interesting
the
game.
mechanics
Kind
of
of
the
fun.
game are
or
sort of lend themselves nicely to that
Oh
too.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
yeah, or the cool part is because of the way the characters are made. To me, I can see it very easy that we don't even play these characters. These characters are characters for this chapter,
Right. Ooh, that's
and
an
then we
interesting idea.
play.
Hmm.
It's like, yeah, these characters did this, but they're only a bit of the story. What was going on the other side of the universe when the Federation was being put together? These people were fighting some kind of crazy threat, or they discovered something that, you know,
Hmm.
was triggered because of something that happened here.
Oh, that's an
You know,
interesting idea too. Huh. Okay.
no, there's
Yeah.
when if you like start thinking about it like in that, if it's a book or a novel, or this is one novel and now we're doing the prequel to this novel. Like what happened before the Federation, during the Dark Ages, or the time of strife, or
Yeah.
or what
Well.
happened 1,000 years later.
Okay. I'm just gonna put all this into my little
Yeah,
brain for a little bit and think about it for a few
yeah. Put
days.
that in the pot and
Um,
stir it up.
yeah.
You gotta.
Yeah,
Um,
all sorts of possibilities. So that's pretty cool.
I want more people to be playing this, and I want to be a player in it. I want someone else to GM it, and I'll be a character. To see. I really want to do more of that.
Wait, but that would be an option for us too, right? We could
That's
take
true.
turns if you want to continue.
That's an interesting
Which
point. Yeah.
wasn't me volunteering. I already have two things up in the pipe.
Okay. All right. But it's a
You
thought.
want
Yeah.
sorcerer or you want pool?
No,
Pool is going to be way easier for me. Your choice.
to be discussed later. Um,
We can do that.
right. So anyway, though, so I don't really need to have like a decision making thing right now. I was just be enthusing about the whole thing.
Just was another idea.
But
yeah, this is fun. This it kind of loosens up something inside me
that's
that
kind of cool. Yeah.
yeah, so that's what I appreciate about it, is that it's allowing me to especially now, because like once I killed like my old group, when I murdered that group, it's it's like okay, it's good to play, to loosen up, to
Hmm.
get something going, because yeah, that
Recharge
oh,
a little
that's
bit.
but no, this has been fun, and I like all the characters. I like all the different
I was having
Races.
NPCs and
I,
stuff like that. That
I'll tell you, I really
That's so great.
surprised myself. What I did really was I came up to every obstacle to piece that I could think of. I basically came up
see,
with every historical reason that these things fail and put them all in one place.
right?
And I had no proposed solution in mind at all. In fact, I even kind of came up with the idea that I mean, without making things up to be difficult, I would just stay true to the things that I had come up with and not give in effectively. Right. So it's
Right.
not like this. You couldn't just go talk to the Scrang and say, "Oh, stop being dicks," and they would say, "Oh, okay." That wasn't going to happen. So,
Right.
so on the other hand, it also another thing too is that I had a really strong idea of the different groups and some of their factions, but I didn't have much in the way of individuals. Individuals sort of appeared. I had a name list for each one. And so an
Right.
individual would be addressed or would be come into it. And then I would say, okay, now how does this person relate to their group?
Right.
And then, okay, so now I have a name and I would say, how does this person relate to their group? And then I'd start role playing them. Very, very quickly, those characters started making decisions of their own. Farcock's sort of epiphany was like straight out of just role playing him. He was sick of the authority structure he was in and hadn't really put it together and had various cultural blinders, but that one thing suddenly worked for him. Just that one
Right.
concept. And the same went for a number of the others that the different individual opinions that they had. So I wasn't really creating those characters in front of what you did so much as saying, well, I'm basically in a constant state of character creation as they become
Right.
present,
Yeah.
and then I start playing them, and then a session later, each of those characters has made decisions in ways that sort of like, well, I never thought of that for that character at the time.
Right.
Right. So it was kind of fun. I found myself in a situation where the NPCs that I was making started being very opinionated. Um,
Right.
so
Well, as the PCs, because I think Ixacal was really kind of pissed that she basically was a decoy and
mm-hmm,
not really useful.
mm-hmm.
Because I didn't see that coming, her going in between us.
Oh yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah,
right.
that's cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Like I was curious too. I was curious, like, what are the Avix gonna do?
Yeah.
Well, also what kind of interested me was that Dukan was such an ambiguous character. I mean,
Yeah.
like force of good or force of evil was really a toss up more than once. So
Well, that's the thing. Well, I think it's because I've been watching these. Well, probably freaking like Tiger King, where you get like people who you on the outside you think, yeah, they're saying all the right things, all these good intentions, and this way of life, but then underneath sometimes they have these weird, base, this darkness, which is kind of sad because like on the outside there's this, this kind of utopian,
mm-hmm.
philosophy that they're propagating, but then when you get into, some of these compounds of people. This is kind of terrible. So I think it's such an interesting duality with that. Like the concept is so beautiful and wonderful, and
Yeah, I mean, here he is, Dukan
and then
spouting off at
and then
one
it
point or
always
another, and
just
you're kind of like, I could believe that.
right, and then but then the reality is it usually is just erupts into just this base darkness underneath, where people, maybe it's just human nature. Just to make things terrible, but so yeah, I just that was my kind of concept for Dukin, is just that
Mm-hmm.
kind of crazy, hippie-ish,
What was
cultish.
kind of weird though, and at least as it went for us, it kind of rebounded on Dukin because you influenced all these other people to be more groovy, and then they held his feet to the fire to live up to it.
Exactly,
So
right?
it's like,
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
so yeah, I kind of like that.
And we are all still alive.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. The ambassador almost got it because I was yeah, the ambassador almost got it because I was like, okay, if this ambassador is sketchy, I'm gonna have to take it aside and murder it. And
True. Although, as it
Yes.
turns out, I mean, I was going off of that the role from last time, where
Yeah, that's
You
pretty
know,
cool.
just
That was a nice surprise.
yeah.
Yeah.
One of the nice things about this is that unless the game master, when all is said and done about a role and an outcome, okay, when that's all said and done, if they don't pick up with a changed frame, right, a changed situation, that
Right.
the whole thing we're in is changed because of that, whether it's really local or whether it's bigger, doesn't matter. But basically, play before the roll was going a certain way, was about certain things. When everything about the roll is done, all the outcome is narrated, everything, the game master has to say, okay, where is everything now? And it can't be the same.
Yeah.
It just can't.
Yeah.
And it can't be
Well,
what they planned because they weren't in charge of how the dice fell. They may
yeah.
not have even narrated. They've just got to take it and say, okay, here's where we are now. Let's play. And I think that's a huge responsibility for the game master. Totally the opposite of like the story nanny who's making sure we all go there, right? Totally
Right.
the opposite.
Well, it's the Jeet Kune Do of game mastering. You have to be like water. You have to, you know, you can't go through the stone. You got to flow around the stone, and ebb and flow of the changing river. You have to be mindful of it, and it's not to dam it up here. It's not to push water there. It's to see where the water goes, and to be one with the water.
Well,
So
Just
yeah,
that's
match it a little bit.
mhm.
yeah,
Well, you
well,
can be. I mean, you have your agents in it, but you are not the river. You are not
yes.
going. Yeah, it's not going where
It,
you want.
well, yeah, you are going where the river is taking you, and you can't fight against it because ultimately you lose. You have to go there
We've talked
Well,
and
about
I,
this
and
I think
before.
see.
that
Go
the
ahead. Sorry,
systems,
Renee. It's that.
yeah, the system's conducive, I think, to that as well, in that it is forcing the players to evolve these characters in their
Yeah.
story, and you are responsible for your actions and how it grows the character.
Mhm.
And I think that's really interesting. I think that's very neat.
The one thing that I don't want to do is to be the master improviser who looks at what has just happened and then says, okay, now how can I entertain them the best next? Where I'm going to point my butt toward the proper climax, the rising action, the I'm going to point myself, my hind end, toward that good spot, and I'm going to just pull everybody toward it, right? And instead, it's just my job to play my guys, which involves more of the backstory and stuff that you have, but it still ultimately is just more my guys.
Yeah.
Um, and just to basically play them. And I really tried hard to keep from front loading conflicts for you guys, right? I mean, one of the things that, like, the most extreme example is when I have the bomb go off. That's really saying, okay, do something, you know, because I say so. You're going to have to roll because I say so. I actually tried to avoid that a lot of the time. I wanted to have your stated actions, given what I knew and had either made explicit or not, would force rolls. I mean, the rules allow both, but I was trying to let what you did actually turn into the roles. So I actually wasn't planning the conflict specifically. I was creating as much tension as I could among all the different actors, but I didn't know just how some character is going to be driving into that at any given time. And that is a lot of fun for me. It's so much easier and so much more fun than planning through the conflicts and planning through the tasks and planning through the
Well, yeah,
arc and stuff like that.
yeah. To me, it's more about the system's there to facilitate it, but it definitely needs people to implement
Right.
and to play.
Yes, it's an instrument.
Yes.
It's an instrument. It's not a
Yep.
product, right? It's not
Yep.
something that hands you anything. You say, okay, I
Exactly.
will play this.
Yeah. Because
So
I could see this being a train wreck, uh, depending on who's playing it. but I could also see it being like some kind of crazy sublime experience, because of it. And
I think any instrument is going to have that property of potential failure, though. I mean, if the thing guarantees a particular experience or a particular set of content, then it's not an instrument anymore. So,
agree.
yeah. Well, anyway, thank you to everybody, and welcome home to the travelers.
But so, do we want to continue on, or do we want to take a break and breathe, or Ron, like you said, you wanted to play?
Let me think. Let me think a couple of days. I think meeting next
Yeah.
week would probably be okay, but let's
Yeah.
go a couple of
Because
days. Let me think a little bit about what I feel like, and see what you guys
Okay.
think of that.
Yeah.
It's good.
Take care, everyone. See you
All right,
later.
Okay, guys.
Good night.
See you later.